Hello viewers, welcome to Nanda Academies. In this lecture 2 video, you are going to learn how to develop a web application called as login module. So we are going to use, as usual, Anvil Framework and Python. And this login module will be developed using a data table. So we are not going to use the MySQL database. So using data table, which is part of the Anvil, is just similar to any table in the database management system. However, we have certain restrictions and constraints which need to be met in order to use the data table effectively. So I'm going to now explain how this data table can be used in order to design the login module, and this could be used for any database application. So I have just opened this application. I have actually made some forms already. As you can see on the left hand side, you have the home page, you have the login page, you have the logout page, and there is one more called as module 1. So you will learn certain new things in this video. Though Anvil gives you a facility to, create a login kind of situation using Gmail account or Facebook or Instagram, etc. We are not going to use that approach. So this is totally customized. That means our own design using the data table. Okay, so now let's look at the page design here. You can see here it's a label which I have put it. So I can give some heading. You can just put any company name or your application name here. And we also have another label in order to make the user to enter the user ID. Then we have the password, so user can enter the password. This is a text box for entering the user ID, and when you drop a text box for entering the password, make sure that this property hide text has to be enabled, so that whatever you enter as a password will not be visible. And we have two buttons. One is, you can see, button 2 and button 1. Button 1 is a clear, which will clear the text box entered at the username and the password. Login is the button where we are going to process the data entered by the user, just like any login credentials. Okay, so let's now move on to the code part of it. Now, before I explain the code, let us look at the data table. Now you can see here on the left hand side of Anvil Framework, you have the data table. Let me just click on this. I've already created some users. So whenever you want to create any data table, you can just click on plus, so that you will get, initially nothing will be there. So you can click on plus, you will get a facility to enter the name of the table. So I've just named it as password table, and in Python you can see here we will be using this name, that is app_tables.password table. This is the way by which we are going to access this table. And you can create your columns and make sure that this is can search, edit and delete. Now similarly here, server modules can search, edit and delete. Otherwise you will not be able to do any modification, because we are going to add one more feature to this application called as change password. So people can actually change the password. So initial passwords are stored. For example, admin, the password is admin and the name is also admin. Now assume that we have some users like this, G11, password is this, and the name is Scott. So upon entry into the application, people or the users can be given facility to modify, that means update the password as well. I'll just demonstrate that once we go into the code. So let's move on now to the code part of the login form. Right. This is the login module. As you can see here, I have this button. So what is this button? button 2, which is login. So when I double click, it lands here. That means I can put my code so that when I click on login button, it's going to be executed. Okay, so whatever the user enters in the text box 1 is the user ID, the first one, and the password. So I'm just storing these two information into my local variables called user ID and password. Now I need to find out whether this user ID exists in my data table or not. So what Anvil gives you a facility is to search in the data table based upon some key, as you can see here, user ID, based on user ID. So this is the name given in the data table, and what the user has entered here. So based upon this search criteria, that is whatever the user has entered, user ID, based upon this I can search. Now when I search, I will get the entire column. That means all the rows. So it is a list. Remember, it is not just one value. It is complete list because all the user IDs I'll get. Now all that I need to do is just check whether the user ID, that means text box what the user has entered, is present in this data table. Okay, if it is there, so Python gives you in membership finding. Now if it is there, then I'm going to check the password. Now supposing if the user ID itself is not entered correctly, so it comes to else and I can give an alert message, username password did not match. So once the user ID exists in the data table, now I can check the password. So again, take the password. As usual, use in operator and check whether the user supplied, this one, is there in this. For the user ID supplied. Okay. So that again, I have that. So I will have my user ID and the password verified. So if the user supplied password is available, then I'm going to store these ID and the corresponding name so that I can have a welcome message in my home page. So for which I need to store these values as global values because I should be able to access this user ID and user name, etc. What I have obtained in this login page should be available in my home page. Now, how do I make it as global, or how do I access this? Using module 1. So you can create, you can see here, just click on plus this one. You can add any number of modules. So I need just one module here, which I've already created, where I can define these variables, that is module 1 dot user ID. So I'll just show you module 1 here. Yeah, you can see user ID, username, initially it is blank, it's initialized. So this module 1 can be accessed by importing it. So you can see here, yeah, this is the line which is required. So from this particular dot mentions, based upon the hierarchy. So sometimes you may say simply import module 1, sometimes you may need this. So this is the syntax to be used in order to make sure that the module 1 is available here as well in order to access this user ID. For example, if I click on this, you can see here whatever the module 1 variables I can see here. Drop down will come. Okay, so once if I can save here, I can access this anywhere in any form. So similarly, name part of it I can just pick up again by searching for the user ID supplied and save it in the global variable username, global variable through module 1. And since the user ID and passwords are correct, so I can just open my form home. So this is the way by which we open the form. All right, supposing if password fails, again you give an alert message. So cancellation button is simply to put none into the text boxes. that is your user ID and password. So now let's move on to the home page. Yeah, so this is my home page, nothing much. So I have my login demo, and this is the welcome message which I'm going to use here once the credentials are correct. So I'll just show you the code here for the label 3. You can see here label3.text. I'll just put welcome is the string, plus you can see here module 1 username I can access. Now this is going to give me a dictionary kind of thing, that is key as well as value, key value pair. So I just pick only the value of it, so I can index it through 0. So I'll be able to get my username and I can display that in the label 3 box. And I also have, once I have this home page ready, the user should be able to change the password as such, and also should be able to log out. So these two buttons or the links are also, they are not buttons actually, they are links. You can see here, this is self.link_2 and self.link_1. So I can just design these two forms now, change password and logout. So let's move on to now change password. Right, so this is the change password code. So I'll just show you the design page. So just give a heading, and we expect the user to enter the old password, existing password, and the new password here. If the old password is correct, then we can just take this and modify in the data table. Okay, so now we will, as usual, same procedure like in login page, except that, for example, you can see here the user ID, I can get it from module 1, global variable, old password from the text box 2, that is the first one. You can see here, this is text box 2, you can, and this is text box 3. Okay, so text box 2 is nothing but old password, 3 is new password. So in case if the new password is not entered, you can give an alert message. Otherwise, that means the user has entered some new password. So now what we have to check is that based on the user ID, you can see here, the password is obtained, and get the password for that particular user only. And if that old password what the user has entered here, is same as what we have retrieved from the data table, that means it's correct. The user has entered the correct old password. Then I can make the changes after getting the data from the new password text box. So you can see here, I'll just get the corresponding row for this user ID only, so that I can modify with the new password. You can see here new password is the user has entered, which I am assigning it to the particular row and the key which is password. So it will affect only that row for the user who has already logged in. And you can also flash this alert message, password updated successfully, and you can open the login page again so that the user can log in again because password is changed. Okay. Now cancellation, as usual, we will make sure that it's not clearing, so it will go back to the home page because the user has already logged in. He doesn't want to actually change the password. He has changed his mind. So the moment he clicks on the cancel button, it will go back to the home page. So we have incorporated all the possible scenarios here in designing this change password home page. Next is logout. That's very simple, right? So it will just when you okay, this is the design page. So we just put a thanks message here and then put a sign in. This is normal procedure which most of the sites actually provide. That means once you come to the logout page, then you can just there is nothing like relinquishing the existing web pages, etc. So according to Anvil, he simply says that open some other form, all the other forms which have already been opened will not be available. So this sign in again message will simply open form login form again. Okay, so this is how the login module can be designed. Open form login. So once we get that login page, upon receiving correct credentials, it opens the home page. Home page is your application page. So you can use this for any application. Only thing is that you have to replace with appropriate your home page. So let me just run this and show you how it works for all cases. So this is my login page. So we have already given admin. So I'll just show you how successful credentials opens my home page. So I've entered the correct user ID and password. So I'll just say login. So now you can see it has come to the home page. So welcome admin. So this is the username which has been retrieved from the data table. Okay. So it is successful. So let us try other scenarios before we demonstrate the other buttons. I'll just enter the correct user ID but some other password, okay, some junk. So I'll just say login. You can see here username password did not match. So the username is correct but not the password. So let me just show you both user ID and password wrong. So again the same thing. So all scenarios it's working. And supposing if I supply the correct username and password, I'm able to log in now and change the password. So assume that from admin, the old password is admin. Now the new password is, let's take 123. Okay, 45. So password updated successfully. Now suppose it has come to now login. Assume that I want to log in and I'll supply the old password admin again. I'm entering admin. Now you can see here it's actually changed. So it's not able to give me the home page or show me the home page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just say, yeah, now you can see that it has come. So I can again change it back to admin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Admin. Submit. So password is changed, login has come. So now admin, right? Okay, now you can see that it is welcome admin. So now logout. So now it is giving me the logout page and I can sign in again. And G10 is another user. So I'll just log in. I think the password is 999. Oh, sorry. I think G10, the password is something different. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Okay, we'll just check the password for G10. Oh, sorry, G10 doesn't exist. G11. Okay, so I'll try again. That's good. It's working fine. G11. G11 999. Yeah. Now you can see Scott is actually the name of G11. Okay, let me just see. G11 Scott is the name of the user. So it's correctly, displaying all the information for the login. So we have the only assumption here is that we have pre-stored the user IDs and passwords. Some applications, actually even commercial applications, use this strategy and make the user to change the password upon first time login. So I think that's perfectly all right, and you can use this for any of your applications. And people who have not subscribed to my channel Nanda Academies, Please do subscribe. You will get new videos as and when it is published. And the entire application can be cloned as usual by looking into the description section. Thanks for watching. Let us meet again in lecture 3 with another series of this lecture, wherein we are going to now build a very complex kind of application using Anvil with lesser amount of time and lesser coding. So thanks for watching once again.